Thank you everyone for coming. Laura and myself are from a company called Lighthouse Personnel, which is myself and my wife's company, based over in Colchester. We're here to talk to you today about CV writing and interview tips. So, myself, my background, where's my credibility come from to talk about this stuff? So, when I was about 12 years old, I started out selling ice creams on a bicycle along the seafront, like a little Dale boy. I then had jobs throughout school and college, left college, worked in a call centre, and then I joined a training provider who specialised in apprenticeships in Suffolk, where I spent 5 years becoming a business development manager for 5 branches, and where I'd also go into schools and colleges and was taught to do stuff about CVs and interviews. Then I launched a healthcare agency, 2 branches for that, and then I set up the business with my wife 2 years ago. And we do recruitment, so we see thousands of CVs every year, and we set up lots of individuals with interviews with individuals from all sorts of background, young people, people who've been working for 30, 40 years as well. So what we're going to talk about, so 3 topics. The first one is CV writing, which we've split into 3 subheadings. So the layout of a CV, the design of it, and the content to go in the CV. We're going to talk about interview tips, preparing for an interview, the interview itself and how to handle that, and also what questions to ask at the end of an interview. Then we're going to talk about LinkedIn, so what sort of thing you would include on a profile, how you can use it for the sort of activity when you're job searching, and also what it's good for when it comes to research. So just a quick show of hands, how many people here have actually got a CV? So, cool. So 60, 75%, maybe a little bit more than that. And who here wrote it completely on their own? Okay. So most people get support with a CV. Even I still, if I was to ever write a CV, would get support from it. Then obviously who had help writing their CV? Show of hands. So actually it's more people had help writing it, and that's usually the common. One thing you need to be really aware of when you're writing a CV is whoever actually writes it, you need to know it inside out. Because if you're going for an interview, people are going to ask you in your CV. They're quite likely going to sit down at a desk with your CV in front of them and ask them questions. If you don't know what's on your CV, it's going to ring alarm bells for the person interviewing you. So you've got to really know it. And if I was you, if someone's edited it or helped you with it, then I would go back and proof it and just make sure you're happy with it. Maybe make a few adjustments just so it's nice and fresh in there. A couple of statistics on CVs that we've found on the wonderful World Wide Web. 76% of CVs are discarded for an unprofessional email address. The best one I ever heard was IHateMySister@googlemail or something.com. But businesses do discard CVs for that. On average, a company will see 250 CVs for a job. Around 4 to 6 of those people will get called in for an interview and 1 person will get the job. This is more corporate businesses, so professional services, office-based roles. But you're going in against 250 people, so having a CV that stands out is really important. 75% of employers caught a lie on a CV, and that I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually higher now as well. You hear of that lots. And actually, they caught the lie, so when they're interviewing someone, they found out that this was actually a lie. Recruiters spend on average just 6.25 seconds looking at a CV. So you've only got a short amount of time to catch their eye, and then for them to look and spend a bit more time looking at it. 59% of recruiters will reject a candidate because of poor grammar or a spelling error. Really important to make sure your grammar and your spellings are hot, and it really makes a CV stand out if they're not, if they've got lots of grammar errors on there. And over 40% of recruiters are put off by too much design. So it's about getting the design right. So the layout itself, lots of research has been done on CVs and which one works. I mean, we still see CVs that are 7 or 8 pages long with people who've had 2 jobs in their career. We see CVs that are 1 page long and they're really smart, clear and concise, but the recommended nowadays is 1 or 2 pages. One of the chief executives of Google actually only had a 1-page CV. They'd managed to fit it all nicely on a page, not all squished, and that's the person who's head of Google. So, you know, it's really important to make sure your CV isn't too lengthy. 2 pages is absolutely fine, but if you can get it to 1, we highly recommend it. You want to split it into sections. So you have your personal profile, which will be a paragraph about you, and you want that to have personality in there. It doesn't just want to be, I am hardworking, I'm driven, I'm organised. It wants to be, as a fun and conscientious person, or ambitious, you know, some real buzzwords that are about you and your personality. Education on there, your work history if you have some, but if you don't, you can put in some extracurricular activities you've done. You'll have achievements, hobbies, and references. And hobbies, again, is a chance to showcase your personality. Particularly if you haven't got a lot of experience and you're going up against candidates that have, your personality might be what makes you stand out. So it's important to get that in there. You'll want to have a layout that ensures good readability of the CV, as well as being eye-catchy. So it's not too wordy, and it's easy to read and flows nicely. So some designs that we've found here. If you go onto Microsoft Word and you type in on templates, resume, I know it's American, but it pulls up probably about 30 different templates that you can use that are really nice, professional. I quite like this one because it uses there's not too much white space on it, but this one has quite a lot of white space here and here, which, you know, these spaces here could be used for something to make your CV stand out, and it can make it look a little bit better. But one like this I find is really nice. Someone's chosen a picture there, someone's chosen a little design on this one, but these are templates you can actually get straight off Word, rather than just a blank document with just black and white writing that looks very bare. A little bit of design can make it stand out, depending on the role you're applying for as well. So the content of the CV, as we sort of said, keep it clear and concise. Leave the hiring manager who's reading the CV wanting a little bit more. Bullet points are an option, but can take up valuable space. And when I said with that CV that had lots of white space left on the page, if you have just bullet points down one side, then there's still this side of the sheet that's going to be left blank. So you want to make sure that it's laid out nicely. You can use bullet points, but possibly columnize them, depending on how many there are. There's other separators you can use. There's a little line you can use. One really important thing is keywords. So when you go on Google, if you search to buy a phone, you're going to search on their mobile phone. You might put Android, or you'll use keywords, and then it'll put up the most suitable stuff when you're shopping. Now, hiring managers and recruitment companies who might be trying to help you find a job will search for CVs on various job boards, and they'll search the same way you use Google. They'll search just using keywords. So if you're looking for a salesperson, you'll probably type sales, business development. If you were looking for a hairdresser, you'd probably want hair cutting, or, you know, terms barber maybe as well. So you need to have those words actually on there, and I have seen lots of candidates that don't actually have really straightforward keywords. Marketing is a common one, going for a marketing role where you've got CVs that don't have things like social media on them or content creation. And without those keywords, people who are actively looking for someone like you won't find you because your keywords aren't in their CV. So you've got to think about the job you want and what words are going to be really relevant to that job, and make sure you're putting them in that CV somewhere. Whether it's in your work history, whether it's in your social life, they've got to be in there. First impressions are everything, so make it personal to you. Keep it professional, yet clearly demonstrating your personality. Lots of CVs don't have much personality, they're just professional, which is great, but adding a bit of personality will help it to stand out a little bit. Oh. Okay. So, when it comes to interviews, who's had a job interview before? So a fair amount of you, actually, that's good. Again, probably sort of 50-60%. Who's been offered a job following an interview? Okay, still again, quite a good amount, so that's great. Whenever you go for an interview, it's really important that you ask for feedback, because feedback can help you to improve next time. And it might just be it's a no, but you want to find out a little bit of why if you can, because they might say, we had someone come in who was really confident, how can you then go and build on that? You can look on YouTube for loads of advice. But it's really important that when you've had an interview to ask for feedback so you can work on your interview techniques for the next time. Statistics on interviews. So before you even go for an interview, 68% of employers will find you on Facebook. So really important to have a little think about how your Facebook profile looks. Are you happy with it? Does it give off a good impression of you? What are they going to think? Finding the right balance, because you also do want it to still demonstrate your personality. So the average length of an interview is 40 minutes. 33% of 2,000 surveyed managers indicated that they know within the first 90 seconds of an interview whether they want to hire someone. First impressions are really, really important. 65% of interviewers said that candidates who failed to make eye contact didn't get the role that they're applying for. So eye contact and body language we're going to look at in a moment, but they're very important. 47% of interviewers said that they wouldn't offer the job to a candidate if they had little knowledge on the company. So research, again, is really important, but we're going to cover that in a moment. So, preparing for an interview. First of all, research the company. Now, researching the company isn't just clicking on the website and going, oh, I know you do this, and I know that you started in 1999. It's a lot deeper than that. What are the values of this company? What makes them stand out? What makes them different? How are you going to fit in with them? What do you really like about them? Why are you drawn to the role? Because you might like the sound of the job, but what about the people? So researching that. Have a look at their current team or employees. We're going to talk about LinkedIn and how you can do that in a moment. What sector are they in? So are they in, if it's a hairdressing company, who are their competitors? Who are the 3 other hairdressers around the corner? Do you know anything about them? Have you got friends that have ever worked for them? If it's an IT job, what other competitors, what makes the competitors stand out, or what makes this company better than those? What are their values? So USPs is something called unique selling points. What are the best parts of that business? And how do they get their customers and show that using these selling points? So for some it can just be price, for some it could be how quickly they can do things, some it's values based, so they're really passionate about quality and getting it right. Research your interviewer, so not just the company but the person. A lot of businesses will have, the hiring manager or the interviewer will have a LinkedIn profile. And all you've got to do is go on LinkedIn and search their name in the company and you'll find them. You can find out where they worked before. You can find out, did they go to the same college as you? Did they go to the same school as you? You can find out all sorts of information about them so that when you meet them, you've already got common ground. And also if you've seen their picture, you'll feel a lot more comfortable when you go to that interview. It will just break that ice a little bit for you. And also you can prepare some questions to ask them about their history and how they're going to help develop you as a person. Understand the job role and person specification. Plan ways in which you can demonstrate your previous experiences. And it's, again, really important here to know your CV. So on a person spec, on a job description, it will say we're looking for someone with excellent computer skills, Microsoft Office, PowerPoint. It will have things like, we need someone confident who can talk on the phone. If you're a receptionist in a hairdresser's, you're going to be answering the phone. And you might say, I'm confident answering the phone. But actually, you could say, when I was at college, I did a week's work experience where I got to answer the phone. In the interview, you could talk about that. If it's computer skills, rather than saying, I've used Microsoft Office, you could say, I created a PowerPoint presentation on this subject for this class. Really important that you back up what you've done. It's not just about saying that you've done it, but how you've done it in the interview. So preparing that and thinking what questions they're going to ask you by looking at the person specification is going to help you to prepare your answers. So the interview itself, when you're actually in there, first impressions, like we said, I've had someone turn up for an interview with me 50 minutes before the interview. As an interviewer, I've been interviewing this person to hire them. And for me, then I'm sat there knowing they're sat in the little reception area. I'm in the desk behind them. I'm trying to carry on my work. I've got lots of stuff that I'm doing. I wasn't going to be planning for them to come in for another 50 minutes. It can make the interview feel flustered. And you might be sitting there waiting for 50 minutes. Now, I know it's good to be early. Half an hour too early. The prime amount of time to arrive before an interview is 10 minutes. It shows you're early, shows you're well organised. You won't mind waiting for 10 minutes, and they won't feel flustered by you being there 10 minutes early. So for an interview, we always recommend that. Get there half an hour early, walk around, see the place, but don't go in until 10 minutes beforehand. It's a really key little trick there. Firm handshake with an interviewer shows you confidence. Observe your surroundings while you're waiting. So is there any marketing literature of theirs that they've got up, any little brochures, leaflets that you can look at, you can have while you're waiting for your 10 minutes, give you a better understanding, show that you're actually interested as well in the company. Sit still during the interview. A lot of the time you get sort of the sort of shaky knee of people sat in a chair in an interview, or sort of scratching face and stuff. It's really important to keep your hands nice and sort of professionally on the desk in front of you, or if it's in a room, sort of, you can have your arms folded, but it can be quite defensive. On your laps, maybe, nice and professional. Sitting still like you are now is great. Keep effective eye contact as well as using positive body language. So, like the statistics we said about eye contact, showing someone you're interested by looking them in the eye is really important. It shows that you're engaged, you're listening to them. Body language could be quite open. Talking with your hands is quite good if you can during an interview. But focusing on your body language, back up straight. If you're slouched in an interview as well, but if you back up straight, if you're nice professional posture, it comes across so well to a potential employer. Questions. So, at the end of an interview, 9 times out of 10, I've never been in an interview where they haven't asked me if they've got any questions. And on the flip side of things, being an employer, when I've interviewed for people to come work for us, and I want to ask questions, it's so much nicer to see that people have got questions. So before an interview, preparing 5 or 6 questions. So what's it like to work for you? Because they've asked you they've asked you all questions about you, but you want to ask what it's like to work for them. What's the future like for me if I was to join this organisation? What's the progression like? What's the team like? Do you go on social events? Do you keep yourself to yourselves? What's the next 5-year plan for the business? Do you explore going down other routes? So it's really important to prepare around about 5 or 6 because they're probably going to cover quite a lot of it in the interview anyway. But if you've prepared 5 or 6, then you've got 5 or 6 to ask if they have covered, and always aim to ask 3 if you can. But really important to ask questions. It shows how much you're actually interested in the interview and the company itself. Use questions which demonstrate your enthusiasm for the role, your career there, employee morale, plans for the future. So, what sort of staff benefits do you have? As I said, sort of about social events. Try to say questions about the package for the stage of an offer. So, if you're unsure that the money's enough or anything like that, you can come back to that when you get offered the role. If you are going to ask about how much holiday you're allowed, the hours, do I get sick pay, how much am I getting paid, those kind of, you should know them before the interview anyway, and you should be asking them before the interview, but in the interview itself you might get caught on the hop, so you might word them and they might come out in the wrong way. So you can buy yourself a little bit of time and ask those questions at a later date, or ask them before the interview if they're really important to you. But actually just thinking of those sorts of questions as your 3 might put you in a tricky situation. So just be careful when you're talking about the package itself. So LinkedIn, and some statistics on LinkedIn. Who here has heard of LinkedIn before? Yeah? We're going to talk about that again. I'm going to ask some questions on that in just a second. So 89% of recruiters have hired someone through LinkedIn. So only 11% of recruitment companies haven't hired someone through LinkedIn. So it is used a lot for job hiring. I'm going to explain what it is in a moment. 87% of recruiters use LinkedIn to check candidates, so they at least go on there to check, because a candidate will have a profile on there. And new employees sourced through LinkedIn are 40% less likely to leave the company within the first 6 months. And that's because on LinkedIn, you know that people are actively looking at your job and your profile. It's used a lot for, it's like Facebook but for business. So, so not many of you have heard of it. Has anyone got a LinkedIn profile? Great, okay. 3, 4, yeah, obviously, yeah, it's great. I have a LinkedIn profile, all our staff have a LinkedIn profile, anyone who joins our organisation does. LinkedIn is a social media site, same as Facebook, but it's for business. So you have a profile on there, it's pretty much like having a live CV all the time. So mine has my education on there, it has the companies I've worked for, and then you comment on statuses. Hi, we're hiring at the moment, does anyone know anyone looking for a job? And then other people say, yes, I know some of my friends looking for a job. People can recommend you on there, so you get literally previous bosses can actually ask you, they can write stuff about you to say what you're like as an employee in a positive way. But there's company pages on there as well, so you have like a mini version of the company website basically with their information, who works for them, so you can see what other people are working there already. So it's a really useful tool when you're getting into the professional world to have a profile and to keep it updated, and it makes you stand out. If you click on someone's profile, they can see that you viewed it. So imagine if you're on Facebook and you're doing some Facebook stalking and you click on someone's profile, they could actually see that you viewed it. But it's good in this sense on LinkedIn, because if you're applying for a job and you look at the person's profile who's going to be interviewing you, it actually shows that you're interested in that person and that you've gone that little bit further and actually looked at their profile. A lot of young people now leaving college or university actually create a LinkedIn profile and they share a status saying, hi, I've just finished uni, I'm looking for a job. And you see 150 likes, shared 70 times, and within weeks they've got a job, they've been through their interview process, because people are using their initiative to get on there and actually share updates about their job. I've just had an interview, went really well, really hopeful, really want to work for this company, and then the company actually see that you've shared that. And that's a tool that's just there, it's free to use, it's just like having a Facebook or a Twitter. So your profile, if you do decide to go for LinkedIn, which I really strongly recommend, because you might find that actually your job finds you before you find it, because it's used by recruiters as well. Professional picture, none of these sort of pouty ones or with a beer can in your hand or anything like that. A nice professional picture always works nicely. Well written work history, take your time on it. You can copy and paste stuff from your CV, but make sure it's well written. Good list of your education qualifications. Really important as well because some jobs might require those. So activity, you can search for jobs on there. So actually it's the same as like Indeed or Reed or any of these other job boards. There are jobs advertised on there that you can apply for just using your profile. So you don't even have to send them your CV. You can literally click a button and it sends your profile over to them. You can add prospective employers. So you can find out, you could look at the team and think, oh, do I like the look of those people? Do they seem like they match my values? What's the company all about? And you can add those. You can post updates with your job search, like I just mentioned. And research. This one is so good with LinkedIn. If you're researching a company and you've said, oh, I've seen that this person is a person who just left this job, and this is the role I'm going for, and I can see that their background, they also went to Suffolk One, and they also studied the same course as me, so I know I'm probably going to be someone who's got the right skills and capabilities that you're looking for. You can find out information on the company, on the hiring manager, or the owner of the business as well. And you can also find out information on the employees who are doing the role or who will be your next team members as well. Thanks for listening. Has anyone got any questions on CVs, interviews or LinkedIn?